Good evening, gentle viewer. I am here to do the Shakespeare Book Tag because today is Shakespeare's birthday/death day. We don't really know what day he was born on. We know he was born in April. We do know he died April 23rd, 1616. It's been a while since I did a tag, and this is the perfect tag for today. Roll the intro. So I found this tag online, of course, and it has a lot to do with Shakespeare's comedies. I am not a huge fan of the comedies. I was actually in one when I was 13. I was in A Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Nick Bottom. I was 13. I played a boy. It happens. So a lot of these talk about the comedies, whatever. So I'm just gonna do this tag. I've briefed through it to see like what the questions are, and I'm just gonna do it off the top of my head. So number 1, Much Ado About Nothing. Your favorite bickering couple whom everyone knows really care about each other. Could be a romantic relationship or a friendship. I think I'm gonna do Roger and Bree from Outlander. They bicker, they fight. Roger is probably more flawed than Bree is, but they definitely love each other. Roger can be a jerk, but he grows. And he grows because Bree challenges him, which I love, too. Measure for Measure, a book whose plot or genre is really hard to explain to other people. So I'm gonna say The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, because the genre is magical realism. Now, magical realism really isn't that hard to explain, speaking as a teacher, but it is definitely hard for people to understand what it is. It gets confused with low fantasy sometimes. Low fantasy would be like Harry Potter, where it's like fantastical elements take place in the real world, but like Harry Potter and Fables, there's a big divide between the magic and the real people. Not so in magical realism. Magical realism is where magical things happen to regular people, but they don't think anything of it. Like in The Ocean at the End of the Lane, there's a witch, and the character just totally believes it's a witch. The witch shapeshifts and performs powers, and the character thinks this is really happening. Or another good example would be A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. The character has dreams about a big tree monster, and he wakes up in the morning to find like seeds growing in the ground, and he just picks them up and takes them away. Doesn't think it's fake. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay, so this I was in. A Midsummer Night's Dream is your favorite book featuring fairies or elves. I think I'm just gonna have to say the Outlander Series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I don't read a lot of fairy or elves. I mean, yeah, like I read a lot of fantasy, but I guess elves are kind of like an older thing in fantasy. So I did read the Outlander series. You guys know I like smut books because smut, like, romance embarrasses me, but smut doesn't. I am, for some reason, really entertained and fascinated by smut. I think it's hilarious. So I'm gonna say Akatar because it's about fairies. Fairies fucking. I mean, come on. What else do you need? Alright, Hamlet, an underutilized female character. So Hamlet has 2 really good female characters. It has Ophelia, who's Hamlet's like love interest, and maybe they used to do it, maybe they didn't. But when it talks about an underutilized female character, I think it's talking about Gertrude, who is Hamlet's mother. So a character or a book that has a really great mother character, I'm actually gonna say Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I read this back in October, and Abraham Lincoln's mother makes an appearance at the beginning. So in this book, I'm going to give away a slight spoiler. Mom did not die of milk fever. Mom died of vampires. Vampires killed Abraham Lincoln's mom. And so there is there are some very sweet moments between Abe Lincoln when he's like 9 and his mother is dying, and how that affected him so much. So I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter has a really great mother character. All right, 5. The Sonnets. Choose your favorite poem. I am not a fan of poetry. I don't really like poetry very much, but I do like Your Praise by W.B. Yeats because it was featured on an episode of House. And I think it's got a really good ring to it. It doesn't rhyme. I'll put it up on, I almost said the board. I'm like in teacher mode. So I'll put it up on the screen and you can read it. So, Richard III, the most overrated Shakespeare play ever. A protagonist willing to do anything to get what they want. I'm gonna say Murthen from World Without End, and this is not like a good thing. Like, Murthen is really pig-headed and stupid, but he makes really, really stupid decisions to get like the woman that he loves, the job that he wants, and he never learns from his mistakes. Kind of like Richard III. So, 7. Antony and Cleopatra. Your favorite trope / bookish budword historical figure for which you still haven't found that perfect book. I'm going to say Anne Boleyn. I am almost done. I'm like 85% of the way through Wolf Hall, and I like the way it portrays Anne Boleyn, but it still portrays her as that woman who like tempts but then withholds from Henry VIII. And it's such a unique, sympathetic view on Cromwell, who is like one of history's biggest villains, that I think Anne Boleyn definitely needs some some sympathy thrown her way. Because when you look at the evidence, she wasn't really that big of a villain. All right, 8. Titus Andronicus. A lesser-known work by a popular author, one which you want more people to read. The Pull of the Stars, hello, how often have I talked about this? Emma Donoghue is mostly known for Room, which I'm sure is great, haven't read it yet, I own it, but The Pull of the Stars is my favorite thing of hers that I've read. I've read a few of her novels, and that's about Spanish flu. It's about a nurse working at a maternity ward, and it focuses on 3 female characters, a female doctor, the nurse, and a volunteer. It has a really tender love story, and it's timely. You know, she actually started writing it in 2018 at the 100-year anniversary of Spanish flu, and then boom, COVID hits, and it comes out in 2020. So read it, bitches. All right. King Lear, a complex female villain or anti-hero. We don't get a lot of anti-hero villains, but I'm going to say Sophie from The Nature of Fragile Things, because we find out throughout the story that maybe she's not who she says she is. Maybe she's done some horrible things in her past that she's running from, and she is very complex in her reasons for becoming a mail order wife, so I'm going to say Sophie. Number 10. The Taming of the Shrew. Choose 2 polarizing books, one you loved and one you hated. So, a book I loved that everyone else seems to hate. I don't know. I'll skip to the one that I hated, A Touch of Light. I couldn't even get through it. It was so bad. It was just almost completely unreadable. There were so many just mistakes in it, and I know a lot of people argue that there's no such thing as a storytelling mistake, just differences of opinion. But speaking as a teacher, that's like the biggest giveaway as something someone can say to just kind of prove that they don't know what they're talking about. And for a book that I loved and everyone else seems to hate, I don't really know if I have one other than Shakespeare. So I'm going to say Richard II by Shakespeare. A lot of people think it's kind of boring, but I think it's a brilliant time in history. It's one of his most controversial plays because it was actually censored, and there haven't been enough adaptations of it for film. And I think it could be an amazing adaptation, and I really don't think The Hollow Crown, which is the one everyone knows, did it justice. All right, 11, Give Me Your Hands If We Be Friends. Tag some people. So I'm going to tag Liam from Liam's Lyceum. Liam does a lot of this stuff. I don't really know how much he likes Shakespeare, but I know he's a fan of Beowulf. T from An Erudite Adventure, I know he likes Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, so I'm going to tag him. And I'm also actually going to tag Peace Love Books, because I know, like me, she likes smut. So I think this could be pretty interesting to see what she says here. So that's it for me. I'm really glad I did another tag. It's been so long. I think my last tag was a Thanksgiving tag. And yeah, I don't look wonderful today, but I just really wanted to get a video out because it's been 8 days since I made a video. And so parting is such sweet sorrow. Let us say goodnight till it be morrow. See you guys.